even the younger guys like Marvin, right? It's almost like a shock to see Ayala Land at 19. In 2008, it was 5 pesos. I saw that at 5 pesos. So it's not something of a shock anymore. You know that it's still 4 times what it was in one of the worst crises ever, 2008.
Ang dami ko nakitang information, articles online that said worst crisis in 100 years. So when I saw the market drop to 4,000, I said, this is the only time in the next 100 years where you can buy great companies at these prices. So of course, I've been saying publicly that I'm a value investor. That's really the time when you buy. I was just so happy that I had the cash to do it. Kasi kung ipit ka at the time, naku, patay, di ba? Sayang. But we're always naman teaching pati all the risk management tools that you have and make sure that when there's an opportunity, you can actually take it.
Hi everyone, Happy New Year. We are in again for a very, very special treat for this super collab. No, this is not a super collab. This is a super collab. We have your favorites, Salve Duplito, Rex Mendoza, and Brother Bo Sanchez back in the podcast. And similar to what we've been doing in the previous videos, we're gonna ask different questions and then they're gonna answer round robin style. But since this is very, very special, icebreaker question muna. Okay, we'll probably go Brother Bo, Salve, then Rex for this question. After this pandemic is over, or when everything goes back to normal, what's the first city, country that you will go to and why?
Japan. My family loves Japan. We love going there, and my sons especially. They love Japanese food, and we love Tokyo, we love Osaka, we love Kyoto. So that'll be the first place.
May kulang doon. I love my wife. Just kidding.
Given na daw kasi yun. Ikaw naman eh.
Okay.
Me, I'm going siguro Switzerland. The last time I went there 2 years ago, I randomly met this old lady na right at that time, I was in crossroads trying to come up with my next big thing. And this lady, and your feelings about the Philippines and all that, are you going to migrate? What are you going to do? And then so I met this old lady in her house. I was just walking in a very small town in Dornac. And then I met the old lady. She was 90 plus. And then all of a sudden, oh, you're from the Philippines. I've been to Leyte. I said, the universe telling me something, and after the pandemic, I really want to find out how she is.
Well, me, I would choose Iceland, no? Iceland, and then probably the Nordic countries in general. And the reason for that is we were already supposed to go. That was the destination for the year. And we were like ready to do it, I think, as early as March or April. Anna has actually done the research. Our daughter has been there. She's been there before us. So we were looking at it to be our couple retreat for the year. And then the pandemic hit. So I'm sure when it gets to open, we're just going to go by the plan. So to speak.
Got it.
Ang dami mga naudlot na plano.
Dami, super. Before I go to something very, very serious, any online purchase that you had that changed your life this pandemic? Salve, Brother Bo, Rex.
Ang hirap naman kasi ang dami. Ang dami online purchase. I purchased a wig. But it did, several actually, and it didn't work out. This online thing, I really have to, obviously, matanda na ako kasi I keep making mistakes. Like supposedly 1 item lang, ang nag-arrive 3 items, and then I look at my Shopee and Lazada, I ordered 3 nga. So I ordered a wig, but it looks like a wig. Changed my life. Now I love my hair.
I'm sure a lot of people are asking, can you explain the contraption on top of your head?
Yeah, so This is my Happy New Year to all of Marvin's fans. There you go. Because, Marvin's fans are awesome. So, special yan. Para sa inyo. Para sa inyo ko lang to sinusuot.
Okay, Brother Bo.
I think my best ever online purchase in the pandemic were pink roses specifically for my wife. She was so super happy. It just makes her happy for a week, 2 weeks, seeing it there in a vase. So there.
Amazing. I have a quote. I know you've heard me say this. I would always say happy wife, happy life. Meron na akong bago. Happy wife, happy life. Shopping wife, quiet life. Yes.
Tama yan.
So for me, I don't shop, and I don't do Lazada, I don't do Shopee. So if I'm going to be mentioning an item or a real product, it will be food. When I ordered food for the family and I ordered food for some friends, I think that that even made me a lot happier when I get to order things that we like, and then we sent it to friends' houses randomly. They didn't even expect it. And then the other real big lines of purchases were, during the pandemic, very early on, late March, early April, when a lot of communities were asking for help. We did give a lot, and quite made an impact on us because we felt, we're blessed. There are a lot of people getting into difficulties. But you know what? I've shared this with Brother Bo many times. The flow was super. I think, Marvin, how I'm doing now, right? I mean, those early donations just came back in multiples. It even, huge stuff. No, so I guess it's not an item, but it's like, the giving that was very important for us.
Got it.
Alam ko talaga, nag-order ka ng Maserati online.
Ano rin while you were saying that, it came to my head, gusto kong magpakasal ulit para kunin kitang ninong for the wedding. But
Pwede bang ako din? Si Brother Bo na lang magkakasal.
Okay. Now let's go to something very serious naman. Let's talk about the markets. And as all of us are investing, we've been doing this for quite some time. We saw the markets drop massively last March. And intraday, we saw the PSEI drop to around 4,000, around that level. What I want to know is, what was going through your head at that very moment? Because I remember that the lockdowns were given, then 2 days, sarado yung PSE. Sarado. So people were already expecting that when it opens, the people will be selling. Pero no one expected it to hit 4,000. So I wanted to know what was going on, what was inside your heads at that time. Probably Rex, Salve, Brother Bo.
Guys, I cannot pull your legs because you know what I've done that day, right? I mean, that exact week, this pandemic hit, and I just said, it's another crisis to take advantage of. It's another crisis to take advantage of. Weeks before that, companies were selling for like 30-40% more. And that particular day, just like that, 30 to 40% less. It's odd. I think a lot of people were scared, but I guess it's my age, and it's the fact that I've gone through like three or four of these. So for me, it's history repeating itself. It's again something to take advantage of, and I did just that. And I think time and again it will happen. Every 10 years there would be something like this. Again, the opportunity behind the crisis never fails. Never fails.
What's interesting about when they say a screaming buy, sample Ayala Land literally was a screaming buy kasi you can't really scream for so long. It hit 19, pero just a few minutes, a few hours after, unti na 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 na siya intraday.
Yeah.
No, but even at the closing, Marvin, it was what, 24, 23? I mean, can you go wrong with that? I mean, it was just 42 weeks before, right? So,
ang dami ko nakitang information, articles online that said worst crisis in 100 years. So when I saw the market drop to 4,000, I said, this is the only time in the next 100 years where you can buy great companies at these prices. So of course, I've been saying publicly that I'm a value investor. That's really the time when you buy. I was just so happy that I had the cash to to do it. Kasi kung ipit ka at the time, naku, patay, di ba? Sayang. But you know, we're always naman teaching pati all the risk management tools that you have, and make sure that you, when there's an opportunity, you can actually take it. So, ang saya. I mean, I'm sorry that the world was in fear at the time and that we didn't know what was going to happen. But like Rex said, we're older than most people in the market nowadays. So Rex and I, for instance, I've been interviewing Rex for so many different crises na. So parang, you know, when you're that old, parang Second World War pa lang yata, Rex, ginagawa na natin to, no? When you're that old na, parang hindi ka na masyadong fearful. Kasi I remember writing that every time there's a crisis, people keep saying stocks are dead. But long after the people who say those things are dead, the stock market's still there. So you just gotta make sure that you have the right temperament to go in when the market's down. Know what the valuations are so that you're not picking things that will not go up afterwards. Pero, and then stay true to your core. So that's what I did, and happy.
Pero just to mention that, Salve, di ba? Sabi mo nga, we've been doing this for the longest time. For a lot of people, even the younger guys like Marvin, right? It's almost like a shock to see Ayala Land at 19. In 2008, it was 5 pesos. I saw that at 5 pesos. So it's not something of a shock anymore. You know that it's still 4 times what it was in one of the worst crises ever, 2008.
Nakakatuwa. At that time pa, when the market crashed, I was reading a book and looking at, and this is funny, looking at the charts in the US for 100 years. Prior to the lockdown, 100 years sinitingnan ko yung charts. Tapos biglang nag-4,000. Sabi ko, oh my gosh, you know what this means. Bring out the guns. Lahat ng nasa watch list ko, I mean, there are stocks, you know, that you'd like to have at whatever price. Pero in the watch list, talagang gulat na gulat ako with the prices. Parang shopping galore, di ba?
I joined the stock market 2007 lang. So I went through the 2008. That was my first crisis 1 year after. And then after that, so this one, so I'm not a trader. I'm a long-term guy. I'm always 90% in. Pinapagalitan ako nila Edward Lee. So when the crisis hit, the only thing, I was not afraid. I knew it was going to bounce, but the only thing in my mind is sana tumagal. Pero hindi naman tumagal. So, but whatever cash I had, I just poured it all in, and then I kept on pouring it in until now. So it's been really good. So I may not have, you know, somebody who's lighter, who only puts 50%, 60%, you know, would have earned much more than me, but I'm happy.
I think we all went through the 2008 crash, but the difference between 2008 and 2020 was in 2008 medyo gradual. It took a couple of months before we saw the index drop to 1,800 at that time, from 37 to 18. Yung ito, ang bilis eh. Was there at any point parang you were second guessing yourself na pag binili ko to ngayon, baka bumaba pa siya lalo, or okay na to, kahit bumaba, I can live with it already? That's to anyone who wants to answer.
I always say naman, nobody knows where the stock market will go. The only person, the person who can say that should be super duper wealthier than Warren Buffett, di ba? Pero wala eh, di ba? So, I mean, when you buy at the right valuation, whether the stock price goes down, okay lang yun. Kasi you made your call, and I'm sure it's a good one if you do your research and you're committed because of the value of the company and not the price.
Yung alam ko lang na kung nag-stock market siya, sobrang galing kasi hindi siya nagkakamali, my mother-in-law. So, hindi nga lang siya nagsa-stocks pero she would have called it properly. That
Explain, wait, ang slow ko. Pero joke, wait lang.
Yeah, my mother-in-law's perfect and amazing and the best.
Gets ko na. Good job. Lahat ng son-in-law katulad mo dapat.
Brother Bo, hindi ko alam kung alam mo to or na-preach mo na to na si Peter, kaya dininay niya si Jesus dinala niya si Jesus 3 times because a few chapters before sa Bible, pinagaling ni Jesus yung mother ni Peter. So, anyways, I don't know how to interpret that, but anyways.
I hope he's listening.
Mother Bo now has a new doctrine to follow. Care of Marvin Germo.
Okay. Next question is this. Relating it to 2008, given that this market crash is so different from 2008, was there any new set of skills or strategies that you developed in this recession that when we get out of this, you will implement it also for the next set of deployment of capital that you have? Maybe Salve, Brother Bo, then Rex.
I reread The Intelligent Investor by Ben Graham at the start. I always want to read it. I try to read it once every year. So that
Really?
I can, medyo technical kasi. And parang Biblia yan. Di ba? From time to time, this passage did not mean anything to me last year, but this year, ibang klase ang punch niya. Parang ganun ang dating sa akin. And some parts about the bond market, in our market, hindi mo magagamit. But the stock market, it just made me realize that while we're saying now that things are very different, we're saying now that we haven't seen the world markets like this since we were born. But there are certain things that didn't really change. Diba? There are things that you realize you have to stick to these strategies para you can be successful in whatever form of market, whether the market is up and whether the market is down. Because whether you're at 4,000 or you're at 10,000, there are risks. And you need to cover those risks. And so long as you're investing for the right reason and for the right timeline, in relation to your personal situation, that you're not too greedy and not too fearful, or you're greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy, I think you'll do well. And na-realize ko yun that all of these affirmations, I have to stick to them and make sure that when the markets recover, I'll still remember them.
Galing?
And by the way, guys, to everyone watching this, I don't know if you've been noticing it from the answers. They all have different styles. Salve is a value investor. Brother Bo does peso cost averaging. Then Rex, style niya, meron siyang core, then meron siyang pang trade. That's why it's nice to have a hodgepodge of different perspectives, because there's no one style that will work for everyone. It's not a one-size-fits-all strategy. And I hope that's what you get from all of this. Brother Bo.
Personal finance is more personal than finance.
Yes, ang galing. So I'm so busy in my ministry and so busy with my small businesses that I'm really a passive investor all my life until this year. Because this year, all of a sudden, traveling every day, that saved me 4 hours. So all of a sudden, I have a little more time to study. And because of that, I became an active investor. Not trader yet, no, but just a little bit more active. So that's what was new for me this year. And I started like deploying first with essentials, PLDT, Globe, and then going to the defensives, DNL, and so on, and then now going to the laggards. May mga laggards pa na pwede pang nasa baba pa. So dati walang oras gawin yun eh. Pero ngayon meron ng konti.
I think that's...
Brother Bo, meron ka na ring Rex portfolio, di ba?
Yes. I do. It's good to have all these guys around me.
What does a Rex portfolio mean for those who don't know?
I shared with Brother Bo and the mastermind group that we have my trading portfolio. So it's a short-term trading portfolio, but it's not, the likes of penny stocks that here. These are really sound companies, and sound companies that will rise and grow over time. But they're not in the same vein as the blue chips, the companies that will never ever miss out in terms of the heaviest portions of a portfolio. But again, this is where you get the double baggers, the triple baggers. So I get to share that. In answer to that question, Marvin, for me, it's just another storyline. As I've said, because maybe of my age and because of all the crises I've been part of, if you see this and you said, it's fast, the drop, Marvin, that's just 41%. Huh? I've seen this drop 60+%. That was 97.
Whoa.
Maybe some people haven't looked at that. 97, the drop was 65. Erap got elected, you add another 6. So 71%.
Wow.
Right? So, hindi na yan nakakagulat. Dinaanan ko na yan. I always tell friends, napanood ko na tong sinin to. Bago lang ang artista, bago lang ang plot, but it's still the same thing.
Galing.
One,
Sa mga panahon na lagi ako tumatawag kay Rex, pa-interview naman. Nasa business world pa ako noon. I mean, you talk to these people, you learn a lot.
see, think about, again, Ayala Land. We talk about Ayala Land. It went to 19. Maybe earnings-wise, it's gonna suffer. Earnings-wise. But people don't see NAV. If you're gonna be putting up a real estate development company in the same level as Ali, how much money will you have to pour? Right? So it's almost like, I know it's the value that the market is saying today, but I know that value will change immediately. Over time, just see, I think there are two things here. Number one is my real belief in human resilience. No matter what the crisis is, humans are capable to supersede, overcome, and conquer whatever the problem is. I believe in that. Matter of time. I know that. So I guess I have to put money where my mouth is. So I have to be able to do that. The second is the fact that all of these valuations don't mean anything because I don't need the money yet. Remember, this money is for a future goal, a future dream. So if I'm going to have that opportunity to stash it, set it aside today, and look at it in another 5 to 10 years, then things will be very different. Your perspective changes because you don't need the money. It's very important that we say that. Because if you need that money, then you're probably going to be worried about it. You're probably going to have other emotions about it. But because you know that you don't need it, you set it aside, and you can even say, forget about it. Right? So I guess that's where I am in terms of that core portfolio. Now, as far as the trading portfolio is concerned, syempre, let's just face it, diba? Payabangan din yan, it's that competitive juice in me that say, I can beat the fund managers, stuff like that. Pero laro lang yun. You cannot set forth stuff like that and match it for a future financial objective. You don't do that. You don't do that. Yung payabang na ganyan, maliit lang yan. Hindi yan pwedeng maging big time. Diba?
For fun. Pero alam mo, if I can interject, it's not that we don't appreciate or understand the difficulty of this pandemic and what has happened to our society. Lives were lost, right? And families were broken in the sense that, when somebody passes, it's something that you can't recover. You can't recover from very quickly. It shook people's faiths for a certain time because when it's a health issue, and Rex knows this, being in the insurance industry for the longest time, when it's a health issue, it creates all of these emotions na hindi mo makontrol. The fear of losing someone, the fear that, the worst part was, magkakaroon na kaya ng zombies? Diba? And so when that's the situation, I had a lot of followers message me, private message me and say, do you think the world can recover from this? And what do you say to that? Diba? At the height of their fear, how do you assuage their horrific, their horror at this situation? And how do you make sure that they still make the right financial decisions, even though they're caught in the grip of that fear, diba? Investing is so much an emotional process, more than a financial or a numerical or a process that involves numbers. It's really about the emotion of certain individuals. And iniisip ko na lang nun, just move forward with faith and strength. After all, if zombies arrive, we're all dead. Kala nyo serious, no? Hindi, di ba ganun din naman eh. Tsaka na lang natin, let's cross that zombie bridge when we get there. But for now, just move forward with faith kasi wala kang mapapala if you're fearful.
Got it.
It's an emotional thing.
Got it. Dodong Kakanando was in the podcast also prior to this video. Sabi niya, kung kunin na tayo ni Lord, di tapos na okay na lahat. Pero kung di tayo kunin, kailangan pa rin natin mag-ipon. Kailangan rin pa rin natin mag-invest. So probably in that lines also, sa zombies.
She almost doesn't have any money. I take it out of her. You know, we can get it to that 6 to 9 times monthly expense or salary because it's the time to say risk on, right? So see, for me, so now we're saying cash can be 5 to as high as 20% depending on the situation. But then it's not sleeping cash. I don't keep this all in a checking account or in an ATM account. A huge part of that is still going to work hard for returns.